From the central coast of New South Wales, Australia, it's the #1 podcast for the X-Men animated series. This is Generation X-Men with Bender and Brooksy.
Yes, thank you very much, Steve. This is Generation X-Men. I'm Bender, and with me as always is Brooksy.
Hey.
Like the name suggests, we're Generation X-Men, and you are too. If you're new to this, what we'll be doing is going through all 5 seasons of X-Men the animated series, 1 episode at a time, giving you our thoughts, X-Quiz, tally time, and most importantly, having a laugh as well. Now, viewers, if you're wondering how do you top such a blockbuster badass episode such as The Unstoppable Juggernaut, the answer is simple. You don't. Rewatching this one tonight was a bit of a lull in the series for me. I wouldn't say it was a misfire, but this one was a little boring. Some nice rogue stuff, introducing new characters, a bit of Cable, but this one fell pretty flat to me, Brooksy. I don't know how you feel about that one, but
you get a bit of Apocalypse.
Get a bit of Apocalypse, but I'd rather just jump straight into the Apocalypse rather than hint at him. But it's all set in stone now anyway. But before we get into why I thought it was so flat, it's time for a bit of X-Quiz.
Pop quiz, Hotshot.
A pop quiz?
Pop quiz, asshole.
Time for a surprise quiz?
Won't be a pop quiz on Wednesday. There's a pop quiz. Pop quiz.
Now, we're killing it with the X-Quiz today because I got 2 killer questions for you, Brooksy.
Ooh.
Lol jokes. No, it's all right. They're all right. But this one's pretty much Easter eggless, but I'm going to have a crack and get some nice good ones in here for you. I don't know how many you have, Brooks.
I got 4, but you may have got a couple of them.
I doubt it. I was digging deep for this one. But I'll kick it off with you asking questions first. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so at Warren's chalet in his lab,
Yep.
Cable's behind the bookcase.
Yes, he is.
What are the books that are in the bookcase?
I did not know that they were titled. I thought the question was going to be, what is a chalet? Because that would have got me as well. Matter of fact, that should be one of my trivia questions. I reckon they'd be Wings related. So is one of them Wings of Liberty?
Incorrect. There was 1 to 17 of DNA test.
Oh, okay, because it's a lab. I read you. That was it?
That's my first question.
Oh, okay. I mean, those were the books.
That was it. Yes,
That's
that's all that they showed.
Okay. So I was going to say it's a
There was
small
more
library.
books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But those are the only ones labelled. All right, my question is, Angel makes his first appearance in this episode. What is his full name?
Warren Worthington III.
That is correct.
Which Union general does Rogue believe made as much damage as Juggernaut?
Rogue General.
Which Union general?
Was it Custer?
No.
No.
Sherman. General William Sherman.
General William Sherman. Oh, is he from the South? Oh, no.
No, he's a Union.
Oh, okay.
Yes, North.
I was going to say. Of course, they'd be hanging shit on the Yankees.
Yes.
And my final awesome X-Quiz question is, Pyro is Australian character. 10 points if you tell me where he was born.
In Australia, like...
Yeah, whereabouts in Australia? There's a hint, it's not fire-related.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know that one.
Have a crack.
Is it a capital city?
Yes. It's one of the main ones.
Brisbane.
No, it's Sydney.
Sydney. Oh, you can't just go to Sydney. Come
He's a New South Wales lad, just like us. Though, I don't know what part of Sydney he's from, because he doesn't sound like any Sydney person I've ever heard of.
Well, in this one, I'm pretty sure he's English.
I don't know where he's from. He's throwing out all sorts of slang and...
Nobody says old bean.
Old bean. Anyway.
Okay, how many boards did Wolverine cut through with his single claw?
I'd say about... Let's say 6.
Correct.
Excellent.
And what book does Rogue have in her car?
Isn't it like a tour book of Scotland?
Yes, well, it says a Scotland.
Oh, right, because she's going to Scotland to find the doctor. So, yeah. If we were looking real hard, would we have found any more Easter eggs?
No, that was it.
I mean, we were looking at the name of the pub that they went to. It was just called...
Just said pub.
Pub.
Yeah.
They're in Scotland. It's not called a bar. It's a pub. All right, that's it for X-Quiz. Previously on X-Men.
So our previously on X-Men today, we see scenes of the collars from Slave Island and how they suppress the mutants' powers. And also the leader explaining how they're made in Scotland. We also see a lot of Cable being a badass and how he hates the leader, but he lives by his code, but he'll not live long.
He hates the leader, but we love the leader, right?
That's right. We love leader.
Oh, also in the, I'll write a note down here that the previously on X-Men in this episode is basically just a Cable showreel because it was everything Cable. He showed every Sentinel he killed, the badass reveal moment, the Wild Man of Borneo line, and it was straight up just all about Cable. But so far in the series, I'll just recap for the whole series. We've still established that Jean and Cyclops are in a relationship. Wolverine's a creepy third wheel between the two. Rogue wants to offload her powers. Storm's still claustrophobic. Beast is still in prison. The mansion just got destroyed. And Morph is still dead. If I left anything out.
Gambit? Did you say Gambit?
Gambit's still Cajun, and Jubilee's still got the fireworks. She's almost like straight up a member of the team now, I would say, because she's been involved in most of the adventures. But yeah, that's the recap of the series so far, I think. Okay, it's time for the breakdown.
Break it down!
Break it down.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Breakdown.
Where is she?
So today we are doing Season 1, Episode 9, The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
The original air date for this one is February 20, 1993, so we're going back those 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's written by Mark Edward Edens and directed by Larry Houston.
On your Larry.
So the episode kicks off and we're in the snow. And you have a long shot of the chalet and your brand new word that you've learnt today.
Yeah, that's
chalet.
right. I'll go look it up.
And then we see old mate Cable. He enters the shot.
Yeah, walking through the snow, rifle out.
So inside we see Warren Worthington, the third, and his redhead woman.
Yes.
The voice of the woman sounds very much like Jean Grey. Did you get that?
Yeah, I did pick it up. It's just a really sort of half German accent. Warren, what are you doing?
And she's worried because the word on the street is he's keeping a mad scientist.
Dr. Frankenstein, perhaps? Very German. I mean, if you're using the same voice actress as Jean, couldn't you turn her hair blonde or something?
Yeah.
Just to blur the lines a little bit.
They've all got red hair. All the women in this episode.
Mate, maybe Larry likes the redheads.
Maybe.
If we ever have a chat with him, we've got to ask him about that.
We will.
Question priority number 1. What's up with the redheads?
So Warren explains that his name is Gottfried Adler, and he is an expert in genetics, and he sent him to Scotland to do some research. So then the chick is keen for Warren, and he wants to take her home. And he says, "You wouldn't want to get too close to me, not if you knew what I was really like."
Yeah, take her home in the bad way. Take her home, drop her off without getting any. It's like, man, that's what he's such a pimp in this. I mean, he could get all the babes. I mean, having wings would be pretty cool. I mean, girls could go for a flight or whatever. He looks like an angel. He could pretend to be an angel, but for some reason he's just really depressed about.
He's not using it.
No, he's not using it. I mean, he's rich and everything, but so I wouldn't mind having a big set of wings like that. I mean, that's just me though.
So then we see Cable has broken into the lab, and so Warren comes in because I think he hears something in there, and Cable grabs him from behind the bookcase. You get that cool shot of his arm come flying through. His arm is massive.
It's all about the biceps shot, that one, and catches him through the bookcase. I thought it was really... And he goes, "Are you Adler?"
And his face is just framed by books. That's cool, eh?
That was funny.
Are you Adler? I'm Warren Worthington, the third. Who are you?
Yeah, he shoots him through the bookcase. It's like, if you shot him dead, he wasn't going to answer, was.
No. And then he pushes the bookcase on him again, and he's not there.
Vanished like a ninja, man, and he pops up right behind him.
Yeah, then he appears behind him and says, "Next time you take a shot at someone, make sure you hit him."
And then Warren's going, "Oh, remember that." Takes a shot, misses.
Again.
Because Cable ducks under it. And then when he takes a shot, he connects because he listens to his own advice. He knows what he's doing with a gun.
He knocks him right out the door and over the balcony.
Then you have a funny line there.
"You got a short memory."
You got a short memory.
And then the chick comes in going, "Warren?"
Do we find out the girl's name? I can't remember.
No, it doesn't say her name.
Alrighty. Jean.
So Warren sits up. Yeah, German Jean. Warren sits up and shakes the snow off him, and then he seems to grow his wings out.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably just having trouble getting through the ultra-thick snowy jacket.
And he says,
Pal, you picked the wrong chalet to terrorize.
I've just looked it up. A chalet, spelled C-H-A-L-E-T, also called a Swiss chalet, is a type of building or house typical of the Alpine region in Europe. It is made of wood with a heavy, gentle sloping roof and a wide, well-supported eave set at right angles in front of the house. So there, that's pretty accurate because that's how I remembered the chalet in the episode.
yeah, I just thought it was some sort of house in the snow.
Yeah. Why can't they just call it a snow house? Because they're crazy Swiss. It's a chalet.
So the woman comes in looking for Warren, and now Cable's hiding behind the door. and she sees him, and he goes, "Don't worry, my gun was set to stun."
Yeah.
Where's Adler?
Where's Warren?
And she tells Cable that he's gone to Scotland. And he's like, "You mean Muir Island?"
No, I mean Scotland. Oh, never mind.
And he yells, "Get down!" And then he just backhands her across the wall.
Protects her by knocking her to the ground.
And then he starts shooting at Angel as he's flying back into the room.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessary to push the girl out of the way. I don't think Warren was coming to attack her.
No. And he's missed 3 times here too. He's not following his own rules.
Oh, well, yes. Well, he's a bit shook this time because of the big wing guy. Because he doesn't know, he's got wings and shit.
So he falls to the floor, and then he picks out a flashbang grenade.
Gets him with the flashbang.
Throws it at him. And it temporarily blinds him and the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives Cable enough time to escape.
Yeah.
So when he gets outside, he just gets up onto the roof.
Yes, does a
Notice that?
sneaky ninja one. I think it's best that he hide rather than try and leg it through the snow because he's going to get got by the dude with wings. So, I really think you really get a lot about Cable. He knows what he's doing. He's a master technician and a bit of a soldier, so it makes sense that everything he's doing in there. Actually, pretty good Cable motivations and story and character growth in this one, if you really pay attention to that sort of thing.
So German Jean is still blinded, and she's feeling around on the floor and picks up the gun.
Warren's gun.
And then she shoots him.
Yeah, she's
by
blasting
mistake. And so then he falls over the railing again. And so she's taking Cable's advice.
Yeah, well, she did it with no eyes. It's a better shot than was.
And also, I assume his gun was set to stun as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have their guns set on stun, unless they're shooting at a sentinel.
So she comes back out over the balcony to look for Angel, and you see him just flying off into the distance.
Yeah, he's a bit upset about being shot.
So now we go to Muir Island, and the first thing we hear is the Scottish bagpipes.
Yes, so there's no confusion about what island we're actually at.
So the Professor and Moira Mactaggert are discussing. He says, "You created this Centre for Mutant Research. Can't you demand to see Dr. Adler's work?" And she said she would if she could, but he's not really part of the centre, and he pays her for using it. So as long as she leaves him alone, he's fine.
Mm-hmm. Just pause right there. I've got to go back and insert something about the flashbang. Just a little bit of the sound effect for the flashbang. I think it was Han Solo's blaster from Star Wars. It had that very specific sort of noise that Han Solo's blaster fits in. So I'll cut in some back-to-back sound effects. The X-Men's sound effect first, and then I'll go in and put the Star Wars sound effect, if it is in fact that sound effect.
So the Professor believes that he may know how to reverse mutations. And so they walk up to the door. She presses on the intercom, tries to talk to him. And Adler says, "No visitors." And what's his German line? Do you remember that one?
No, I don't remember his German line. I got confused. I've always been confused as to what he actually says. To me, it sounds like he says visitors aren't important, but with a real German accent on that one. Visitors aren't important. Or what do you think he said?
I can't remember. I didn't write it down. I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, you said it was something else, but for the longest time, from a kid to now, I always thought he said visitors aren't important. You said visitors are forbidden. That's what you said.
Are forbidden.
Are forbidden. Is that what he said?
That's what I thought it was. German.
Visitors are forbidden.
There
we go. Now we've cracked it.
Yes.
I'm happy now. I'm so happy now.
Visitors are verboten, not allowed.
And so then the professor tries to psychically link through the door with him.
Yes.
And all he sees here is Mystique. And then Apocalypse appears. And he sort of starts to block the
Turns up
telepathy.
the psychic firewall.
Yeah.
No entry allowed. Then Professor X starts fitting
He
out.
just starts shaking.
Starts fitting out in his chair. And she's like, Xavier, you're all right.
So then we cut to the professor is in bed recovering. And he tries to explain that he tried to probe his mind, but some force came between them.
There's that word again, probe. I really hate that word when they use
it
that.
every.
I tried to
bloody episode.
probe his mind. Can't you pick a better word than that? That's not so... it's just a nasty word, an invasive sort of word. I tried to enter his mind. I tried to read his mind. Why do you have to say probe all the time?
So now he thinks that Adler might be a mutant himself, and that's why he wants the cure.
Don't say cure, Moira. Being a mutant isn't a disease. It's something you're born with. It's as normal as being a traditional Homo sapien.
Moira believes not all mutants will agree with him and asks what the rest of the X-Men think. And, of course, he hasn't told them yet because he's Professor X and he's a prick.
I haven't told them. They don't need to know.
So now we cut back to the mansion and all the X-Men are rebuilding it.
Yeah, I didn't know they all had certificates in carpentry and concrete and that sort of thing.
Well, from the way they're going, I don't think they do. Wolverine's not too happy.
Well, he fancies himself a handyman in this scene.
He's 300 years old. He should know what to do.
Well, in the movies, he's 300 years old. We don't know what the age thing is in the comics. We don't know if he's immortal. He could just be like one of the older X-Men. But yeah, he tries to help out with Jean Grey with the hammering the nails in. She just psychic powers them straight in. Tries to help with the concrete. Is it concrete that cement that
She's making up mortar.
make up some mortar? Needs a bit of water. Then she just summons the storm powers in, and he's just not a happy camper because he's not as useful as he wants to be.
Yeah, he says, I always like to work with my hands. And she says, I like to work with my mind.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he had a hammer, but do you reckon he just uses his hand because it's metal?
Yeah.
He could just nail the
He
hand.
just punch him in. I'm
Yeah.
surprised he wouldn't find a way to claw them in.
It's not going to hurt him. And that's when he cuts those 6 boards together
Yeah.
with the one claw.
Mm.
Gambit says, big expert, always giving orders. So Gambit's not happy about taking orders from Wolverine.
No.
And he says, it makes up for all your screw-ups, Gumbo.
They're so confrontational. They're such on edge around everybody. They always just want to fight.
He also says, too bad you don't know anything except picking pockets and stealing candy from babies.
Hinting at his past as a thief.
And also Wolverine here is using his claw to get the mortar and then spread it before he puts the bricks on the wall.
Mm.
And then Gambit just lightly touches one of the bricks to charge it up.
Because Wolverine's no looking as he's reaching for the bricks behind him to set down on top of the wall. And then he just catches it right before it's about to explode and he just bails out of there.
And Cyclops manages to eye blast it away before it explodes.
Mm.
And he said, Wolverine says, he better be more careful with his mouth. Oh, Gambit says, he should be more careful with his mouth. And Wolverine says, you better stop worrying about my mouth and start worrying about these. Bang, claw draw.
Claw draw, and that's our only one of the episode, I believe.
That's it.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not counting the single ones, as we've established in previous episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, we've got more things to add to the list of things he uses one claw for. So then Gambit charges a card and Wolverine's got his claws popped ready to fight.
Mm.
And Rogue comes and drops like the top of the mansion thing.
The steeple sort of thing on
around Gambit
to
sort of stop the fight.
Mm-hmm. Break it up.
And Wolverine says,
You afraid I'm gonna hurt him? I always thought you had a soft spot for that Cajun.
About as soft as you, fathead. You gonna shut up or am I gonna have to help you?
Hey, everybody! Guess who wants to talk to us?
so the professor's then, we cut inside. And the professor's saying that Dr. Adler is claiming to be able to reverse genetic mutations. And Wolverine believes they will use it to steal their mutant powers.
Yeah. In this, I wrote down Wolverine's being very stupid and insensitive towards everybody, and well, not towards everyone, just Rogue in particular, because we don't need no traitors and all that sort of talk. So I don't know, man. That's just really driving home the point about how Rogue is upset that she's got one of those powers that she can't really blend in or have a normal relationship with anyone. So found that interesting, and Wolverine being a little too insensitive, I thought. Maybe out of character, don't know.
Yeah. Like, Cyclops believes that, like, some mutants might want a chance to be normal.
Yeah, he's a bit more, I don't know, open to the idea.
The professor ends with, each of us will have to make their own decision if the process does work.
Mm.
And then we cut to Jean and Storm. They sort of huddled together in one of the unfinished rooms.
Oh, it's Jean and Cyclops.
Jean and Cyclops, sorry.
That would have been awesome if it was Jean and Storm. Crossing boundaries.
And Rogue's leaving. And she's parked a car outside.
Yeah.
Like
it's ready to go.
Maybe the garage got busted.
Yeah.
So Rogue heads out to a car, and Gambit goes and jumps in the passenger seat. And he picks up a book, and it says it's for Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Muir Island, a vacation, hey? And Muir Island isn't for you. How about we go to Paris instead? And she says, how about getting out of my car? And she just throws him out.
He lands on his feet, but then he chases after her anyway. She's screaming around the corner. Then he jumps up over the wall, lands smack bang in the passenger seat, right where he left off. And then you pointed out he loves to chase, this guy.
He does.
Maybe if he could get her, he wouldn't be interested. Maybe he's one of those blokes that the chase is more fun than anything else. That's why he's forever on her tail.
As soon as he jumps in the car, he asks her for a kiss.
How about a kiss before we go, shall?
And then Rogue just slams on the brakes again.
He parks it in the middle of the road.
Just gets out again. That's how she stops. Maybe that's why when she came into the mansion, there's a tree, I'll just stop. She just parks the car wherever she wants.
Yeah, she don't give a shit. I mean, what's going to do? Tow it? She's just break in and steal it again.
Yeah, I wonder where she got that car from anyway. Like,
she didn't say. Doesn't
do you
seem
think
like
she
a
bought
rich
it?
person.
Yeah.
I reckon she's flogged it for sure.
So she's angry at Gambit now, and she says because she can't touch people.
Mm-hmm.
And Rogue asks if he'd like to go to the hospital, and Gambit says maybe it's worth it, no?
Trolling her big time.
Rogue flies off and ends up catching a ride on the wing of a plane to Scotland.
Yeah, maybe her powers are a bit tired.
Yeah, so how long do you reckon Rogue can fly for then?
I don't know. She seems pretty strong. I don't know if she needs a recharge. But as long as she... I suppose it's like running, I guess, or tensing a muscle. How long can she do that for? If we're going to bring in the science into things, I think it would be like exercise. How long she can fly or run for just depends on her overall fitness, perhaps.
So we get a bit of that. The passenger sort of sees her out in the wing, tries to tell the flight attendant. Flight attendant looks, can't see anything.
There's something on the wing of this plane. I was getting like maybe it's the Twilight Zone sort of vibe. I haven't seen the episode with William Shatner of the Twilight episode where it's the gremlin on the side of the plane, or from the movie when John Lithgow sees the gremlin on the side of the plane. But I have seen the Simpsons episode where it's a gremlin on the side of the bus. So I will check out the Twilight Zone episode and movie one of these days just so I can pick up that reference. But I'm pretty sure that's what that was a reference to. But they should have gone all out. If they got a Jack Nicholson impression guy, they could have got the guy on the inside of the plane to say like, Shatner.
There's a man out there.
What?
Look, he's crawling on...
So as soon as she flies down, she goes straight to the pub. Do you reckon that's the only thing to do in Scotland?
I think so.
Every other mutant that's there just goes straight to the pub.
It looked from above. It looked pretty grassy and not a lot of infrastructure or buildings around. There's really only one pub in Scotland, according to X-Men animated series. But all the business takes place there, and they're all sort of like mutants walking around. I think I saw a gargoyle in there.
Yeah, there's one sitting down. Yeah,
so
there's a couple of weirdos.
Mutant pub or just another pub in Scotland. I haven't been.
And this is where we are introduced to Avalanche and Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing darts. And they're waiting for Mystique.
Mm-hmm.
Avalanche isn't happy because there's nothing to do. And he wants to steal something to get some money. And he says if he's not happy and if nothing happens, he's going to go back to jail just for something to do. And so then Rogue walks in and Pyro thinks that Rogue may be Mystique. And then he's like, oh, how come you don't know who Mystique is? Because she's a shapeshifter.
She's a shapeshifter, old bean, or whatever fuck he called him. I mean, as a kid, I didn't know he was supposed to be Australian. Did you pick it up when you were watching this episode as a kid? Oh, that's an Australian? Or do you think he was like a Pommy or something?
Yep. I thought he was British.
I thought he was British, yeah. I didn't know what he was because he didn't sound British to me either. I mean, he didn't sound like James Bond, and he didn't sound like any other stereotypical British character. I didn't know where he was from.
Because none of what he says, none of that's Australian. It's all British, old bean, and all that sort of shit.
I think it's what Americans think Australians sound like. I mean, not complaining. I like it when there are Australian characters in cartoons and movies. I think it's funny, but they never sound very accurate. He did say blimey, though, so that's pretty old school Australian. But
that's English as well.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
There's nothing in it. No Australian in his vocabulary then.
Not that I found, no. There was a lot, like in the Simpsons episode, there's a lot of Australian stuff.
Yeah, that stuff sounded pretty good. Even the accent sounded a little bit closer, more like making fun of an Australian.
Yeah, that's right.
But this one just sounded a little bit off, not even close to being Australian. Worse than the Pride of X-Men Wolverine Australian accent. I mean, this one, just watch Crocodile Dundee over and over again. Listen to how he speaks before you have a go at the accent voice actors.
So Rogue tells Pyro that she's looking for Adler, and so she says, "Are you Adler?" He goes, "No." He just turns around, sets fire to a chair, and says, "I'm Pyro."
And the sound effect of the fire launcher, I think, is the sound effect of the grenade launcher in Terminator 2. I'm going to do another back-to-back thing. Because I was just cracking my brain saying, where have I heard that sound before? Because you thought it sounded familiar as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be something else, but I was thinking there's already one sound effect borrowed from Terminator 2. Chances are there's going to be another one, so I'll check that out.
They call me Pyro.
Pyro asks Rogue if she wants a hot date, and she says, in a bullseye, and then just throws him straight through the
bullseye on the wall on the dartboard. Yeah. See, I thought when I heard it tonight, I thought, wouldn't cool off be a better one-liner because it's directly related to hot date? But when he goes through the corkboard, I thought, I get it. I was just being impatient with the one-liner payoff.
So then Avalanche comes up and says, how about trying that on me? And so then Rogue just throws him completely through the wall and then into the water.
And that's when you see old mate Cable. You were laughing your ass off at this Cable in his fishing boat.
I reckon if that was an action figure, you would have bought it.
A Cable with fishing boat action.
Includes boat? Awesome. I'm getting it.
Nah. What would it come with? Surely it'd come with a missile launcher.
Yeah, definitely. There'd be no fishing stuff in it, but it'd say fishing boat.
Look, as a kid, I'd want the bags of fish that Wolverine carries on his shoulder in my fishing boat action figure playset. But yes, I probably would have bought it.
So then Rogue heads to the Mutant Research Center to see Dr. Adler, who again doesn't want to see anyone. And so she just forces the door open and just goes in anyway.
What's the German line again?
Visitors are forbidden.
Visitors are forbidden. And then she just kicks the door in. Now I know like 3 sentences in German.
And we finally get to see Gottfried Adler, who to me just looks like Albert Einstein.
But a little bit more sinister because he's got all grey and sort of a moppy sort of hair.
So Adler asks why she would want to be normal. And she says that she doesn't want to live her life not knowing what it's like to touch another person. And so Pyro's at the door, he's listening in, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
I will consider your request. Come back in 1 hour. I will have an answer for you then. Apocalypse!
This is the door to reveal Apocalypse standing against the wall.
Which is a pretty cool shot of Apocalypse, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just standing there up against the wall in the shadows, arms folded. It's a nice, subtle introduction, but it works. It's a surprise thing. Unlike the Juggernaut one where you see him and it's not sort of celebrating his first appearance. In this one, it's a big moment when you see Apocalypse. Not crazy big, but it's big enough that it gets the point across this is a menacing, powerful being. I mean, he looks about 11 foot tall there.
Yeah, he does.
Arms folded, he gets big and everything.
He's awesome.
And he was looking pretty tough.
I always think that he sort of scares Mystique too, and she morphs back into her natural form.
Yeah.
That's what I always think.
Loses concentration. It's like, oh, jeez. But yeah, I mean, really setting up his threat in this if Mystique is showing so much fear towards him.
So then Apocalypse sort of explains to us that the machine doesn't actually cure mutants, it makes them his slaves.
Yeah, of course it does. So evil.
And so then we go to Rogue, and she's sitting by the water contemplating a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And then she thinks back to when she was younger.
Nice flashback.
She has a boyfriend, Cody.
Oh, Cody.
Moon sure is pretty tonight. You ever been kissed, girl?
I'm beginning to think I never will be, the way you keep going on about the moon.
So there, then they kiss, and he takes the power. She takes his power, and then he passes out.
And he passes out.
We've already heard this story before, and so we're just getting more of it.
Yeah, this is the first time we're seeing it, right?
That's right.
But, yeah. Poor Cody. Poor Rogue. Cody. Flashback to present time.
So now we see Pyro. He goes back down to the water. He's looking for Avalanche.
Avalanche!
But instead, he finds Cable.
Splash reveal, I wrote down here. The waves rise pretty high, and then he's suddenly in front of the rocks there.
You want Avalanche?
I'm looking for Godfrey Adler.
Well, of course you are, old darling. He's such a popular fella.
Don't call me darling.
Shoots the fire at Cable. Cable ducks out of the way, then shoots Pyro straight into the water. I mean, no one's a really good shot when they're aiming at Cable, and Cable seems to be the sharpshooter of the episode. And after he knocks him into the water, Cable's got the line, "Don't call me darling."
Oh, that's badass. That's cool.
Cable's a man.
So then Pyro's then dragged from the water by Avalanche, and he explains that they are going to kidnap Dr. Adler.
Yeah, and I like Avalanche is like, "What'd you do, fall in?" What a prick.
And then he just starts up his fire to dry himself off. So that's cool.
Yep. Doesn't seem like a waste of his powers to do that. I mean, it's practical and using it in a sort of casual way to use his powers.
So then we go back to Adler's little research room, and Rogue strapped down on the table. She's ready to have the machine take her powers,
Zapper,
I guess.
Yeah.
And so the machine itself is suspended from the roof above her.
Mm-hmm.
And as he goes to start the machine, the whole room starts to shake.
Yep.
And then Pyro and Avalanche bust through the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he says that, "Well done, old bean." And then Rogue busts off with restraints and asks if they're looking for a rematch. And Avalanche then destroys the machine, dropping it onto Rogue. And then he grabs the bag and he runs over and throws Adler in the bag and takes him off.
I want to know if that bag was a pattern or is it made of Swiss cheese? Because it looked like there were holes in it, but they weren't seeing through to the holes. It looked like some weird sort of faded petal pattern on that one. But that's just something that bothered me. Can't you just make it a plain bag?
Yeah, I don't think they spent enough time on the animation for that one.
They didn't think that one through. Just make it a tattered bag, but let's don't go through it. So I'd have just made it a plain Hessian bag.
Yep.
It's less complicated.
So as they run out of the room, Cable sees them, and then he starts following them. Rogue manages to throw the machine off her, and then she flies out of the room too after both of them. And then Moira and the Professor appear because they heard a loud crash.
Mm-hmm.
And they come into the room and they don't know what's going on, so they're like, "Oh, you must be gone."
She goes, "I don't know." Because she's Scottish, and that's how they talk.
Pyro and Avalanche believe they have gotten away, and he puts the doctor down. And Pyro takes the bag off to reveal that it's actually Mystique. And he goes, "Who's the woman?"
I think that's where he says, "Blimey."
And he goes, "He's Mystique." And then and she says, "You're a fool, Pyro."
You fool.
And Avalanche is really dumb in this, isn't he?
He's real stupid.
Yeah, they just make him, he's just the dumb psychic.
He's the muscle, he's the buff head, and I mean, that's good enough. I mean, keep him stupid. I don't need Avalanche to be smart.
Mystique then explains here that she's got them here to, because she believes that Apocalypse may have a use for them.
Mm-hmm.
And but they don't know either of them who Apocalypse is. She explains that Apocalypse is her master. And he will crush them both like insects if they interfere. Which sounds like an Apocalypse line, doesn't it?
Crush them like insects.
So Pyro works out how the machine works. So he's like,
"So your machine doesn't cure mutants. It turns them into slaves of Apocalypse."
Exposition. Even the way he says Avalanche, I'd never connected that with him being Australian, because the way I say it, the way we say it, is
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why it sounds British to
That's
me.
why, yeah, Avalanche. Yeah, I don't think that sounds British. Anyway, gotta stop criticising this Australian accent.
Mystique also explains here that Apocalypse has killed the real Adler and that she's standing in for him. Rogue then appears on the site and Mystique changes straight back to Adler. She does that a lot in this one too.
Yeah.
And she starts fighting with Pyro and Avalanche. And then Dr. Adler sneaks off behind and then he runs straight into Cable.
Bumps into Cable, who's looking very sinister, and says, Dr. Adler, I presume. And he's got a real evil sort of smile as his eye flares up. That was a cool moment. I like that one.
Dr. Adler, I presume.
Could be my favourite line of the episode.
So we cut back to Moira and the Professor in the lab. And then the Professor seems like just about to use his mind powers to find out what happened here. And then Cyclops and Jean just walk straight in.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what are you two doing here?
Got intercepted by Cyclops and Jean.
And then they say that Rogue's come to Scotland to get the cure, so they had to come looking for her.
Mm. I like the restraint they showed there too, just having Cyclops and Jean show up. Didn't need all the X-Men there. I mean, they're all off. Probably still putting their mansion back together.
Yeah,
so I thought it was pretty neat that it's only two of them that showed up. How did they show up, by the way? Did Professor X take the Blackbird, or did he just take one of the little scout planes?
No, he must have taken another plane because in the previous episode they were flying around in the jet. Remember they came
that's
back?
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But okay, cool.
So we cut back to the fight now, and Pyro is shooting fire at Rogue as she flies it around above him.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sneaks up on him and grabs him and does the swing around, and throws him.
Super Mario 64 Bowser swing round and round and round and tosses him out of the way.
That's the one.
That's the one.
And she hits Avalanche with him and they both fall into the water.
Always into the water.
She then finds Cable, who has Adler up against the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, now walk.
And Cable's explaining about how the mutant collars were used in Genosha to make everyone slaves.
Yeah, and his motivations really come across here. He's just trying to wipe out Adler to protect mutants so the collars don't be used for evil or sinister purposes. Enslavement again, so that was pretty neat. I mean,
yeah,
just to like really drive home the point that he's not the time traveler Cable yet. He's just some mutant showing up looking out for mutant rights.
So Cable then takes a shot at Rogue, but he misses it again, so he's still not taking his advice.
Yeah, Rogue comes in to stop it right before he can toss her off the edge, Adler off the edge.
So Rogue dives out of the way of the shot, and she picks up a rock, throws it at Cable, hits his gun.
Lost his rifle. He got punked out by a rock.
So then he takes out a grenade.
Yeah.
And he does the whole put it in his teeth.
Pin in the teeth.
Pulls it out and throws it at Rogue.
Yeah. Blows her up and she crashes to the ground.
And then he says, plasma grenade. And then he spits the pin at Adler.
I love
God
that.
Damn, that was so good.
That is cool. And he just spits it and bounces off Adler's head. I mean, that's like a really cool character trait that they didn't have to throw in there. So he's got the pin in his mouth when he's like, plasma grenade. And just bounces off the head. I think that's really cool. It's like he really dislikes who he thinks is Adler's like.
Plasma grenade.
You are making a terrible mistake.
So then he's about to, picks him up, and then Mystique shifts back into her natural form, her blue form.
Yeah.
And she explains that Dr. Adler is already dead.
Mm.
And then you see the Blackbird rise up from the cliffs.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool shot.
Yeah, that was cool. And then Mystique morphs straight back into Adler.
So no one believes Cable.
That's right.
She's such a prick. Shapeshifters are pricks.
And then Cyclops and Jean come out to confront Cable, who starts shooting at him.
Well, he gets his pistol out, and then Cyclops says, "Drop the weapon," and he goes, "No." And just shoots. He shoots at Cyclops, but Jean brings the rock up in the way. And that never works when you're going up against Cable because chances are he's charge blasts.
That's right.
And he's hit the giant boulder and it's charged, right?
He's made the switch from stun to charge.
Yeah, that's what he was dicking around with the settings right before they came out. But I really love that line. Drop the gun. No. It's so good. Love Cable's man.
Drop the weapon. No.
And then Cyclops blasts Cable over the edge. And he's falling down the cliff and he manages to grab on.
He grabs on, yeah.
So then the rock that Cable has hit then explodes and knocks Jean off the cliff.
Useless bloody Jean.
And then Rogue flies down and catches her.
Mm.
And you can't see Cable here at all.
He's just
done
vanished.
his disappearing act.
Yeah, he has. Like, and we want to skip ahead, just skipping ahead briefly here. This was the last time you see Cable with the flesh-coloured arm.
Okay.
Well, you don't see. He falls off the cliff and grabs onto it. So we think he's still alive, about to get back into the fight. But when Jean falls, Rogue catches her. Cable suddenly disappeared. I was thinking, as a kid, I justified, there must have been a scene that got cut where he loses his left arm,
right, yeah.
and then he's just gone to the robot shop and put some robotic arm on, because the next time we see Cable, he's got the robot arm and everything. So I thought this was the point where he lost his arm, just as a kid, because I didn't know the whole future storyline, whatever. But yeah, that's just a little bit of X-quiz that I from my past and how I interpreted that scene.
So we go back to the lab now, and Rogue is helping Adler to fix the machine, and she doesn't want to go through the treatment anymore. And says, you can't cure who you are.
No, that's nice.
And then Adler tells her, you must live forever in the prison of your mutant powers.
She goes, I am my powers.
And the good they can do for my friends and the whole world.
Yeah, that's...
I reckon I can live with that after all.
Because there's a little bit after she saved Jean, you see Cyclops and Jean cuddling and sort of hint at that those two really appreciate her and everything she does for the X-Men. So that was just to drive home the point. Okay, she's not going to take the cure, and she's going to stay an X-Men, stay Rogue.
And so Rogue flies out through the hole that's in the roof now.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's flying away from the lab, she almost flies straight into Angel.
Yep, that's right, yeah.
And then Angel asks her, how do you fly without wings? And she says, I don't know, I just do.
Couldn't he just said, I'm a mutant? Because I'm a mutant.
And you haven't seen Superman, bitch?
I thought they were both very rude to each other. He goes, look out, he's just trying to be nice, and she's very snappy, which is understandable, though. She didn't get her cure, so she's a little bit moody.
So Angel flies in here to warn Adler, but it looks like he's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon he flew here all the way from
Switzerland?
Back when we saw him in his chalet?
Or maybe, well, he had a costume change. He's in his red and white Angel outfit this time, so maybe he flew back to... Where is he from? Is he Scottish?
No, I think he was, because they said they sent them to Scotland, remember?
Okay, so yeah, he could be American. I don't
He
know.
must be American.
I'll look it up. He maybe went back to his American shack first, got his gear, and then flew over there. But it would take him a lot longer than Rogue, I think. I mean, how far is it from Sweden to Scotland?
Rogue was in the jet.
Yeah.
So do you reckon that's the time difference it takes for flying there to getting on a jet and getting there?
Well, she was on the jet, not in the jet. So I don't know. I guess so. But an interesting question. I wouldn't want to fly anywhere just with wings. I imagine they get cold.
Yeah.
Especially at night in Scotland.
Mile high. Yeah, there's not much oxygen up there.
Oh,
either.
okay. I didn't even think about that. I'd fly low.
So then Adler asks Angel, how come he never told him he was a mutant? And he says that's why he funded his research for so long.
I just put it together, Adler.
Mystique then goes to tell Cyclops.
She goes to tell Apocalypse down by the cliff. You think they'd find an easier place to meet? So she's talking to herself, but talking out loud at the same time. I've found a mutant that you might be interested in. And then she just walks, and Cyclops, I called him
you
out.
did it too.
It's the CY sort of sound and L. It's all the letters in Cyclops, but it's Apocalypse. Apocalypse is just standing there in plain sight by the cliff there. It's only till the camera sees him that Mystique sees him.
Yeah, and he says,
the millionaire, Warren Worthington, with the wings of an angel.
With the wings of an angel.
With the wings of an angel. He's got it's a great voice.
And Mystique asks how come he knew that he was a mutant. And he says, I know more of this world than you have ever dreamed. And that's just why I must destroy it. Oh, man, his voice is so good in this.
That's an epic voice, man. I mean, I liked X-Men Apocalypse, the movie, but they can't touch on the voice actor in Apocalypse because he is unreal. Has a great laugh that we'll find out in further episodes. But this voice he's got is so deep and rolling. And to avoid the Darth Vader sort of trap that they fall in, I mean, it doesn't sound like Darth Vader to me. It's got a lot more, I don't know, what would you say, hate, a bit more personality, a bit more superiority in the way he speaks. So
Yeah.
I really love Apocalypse's voice in the whole series, and this is just excellent the way he talks.
So yeah, that's the end of the episode.
And that's the end of the episode. So what did you think about this episode, Brooksy?
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good one.
A good one? I mean, for me, like I said in the opening, wasn't as good as Unstoppable Juggernaut because, I mean, how can you top it? Juggernaut episodes. It's funny, it's action-packed, we got a couple of mutants in there, and yeah, the one-liner games are strong. I mean, if this episode didn't follow the Juggernaut, it probably would still be a very cool episode. But if you're going in terms of trying to one-up yourselves with the series, this one to me is a bit of a drop, not in quality, not a misfire. It's just a bit of a lull in the show, which is. I suppose you have to have those episodes. You can't have each of the episodes be a big home run, big and funny. It's the same themes over and over again. Otherwise, it get a little bit boring. But in terms for me, this one wasn't as good as the Unstoppable Juggernaut.
Yeah, his voice is so awesome in this. It just brings me straight back to your childhood where you remember his voice. And you're like, that's the voice of Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, yeah. I mean, yeah.
And you get a little glimpse of his power here. He seems really, really powerful. And you're like, oh, we want to see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't test his powers at all other than the power of apparition, just appearing in random places. But the way the Mystique talks about him and you get hints of where he's from, he knows more about this world than you can believe. That's why I must destroy it. So he's got the power to destroy worlds as opposed to the other villains, the other big villains like Magneto. He just wants to destroy all humans, and so Apocalypse's scheme is world destruction, not even domination. So he's got a real hatred for the world we live in.
I also started writing down here how many people, and I don't know whether there's storylines or not that are actually in this.
Yeah.
So like you start off with like the Angel one.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the Professor and Moira.
Yeah.
Then you've got Apocalypse and Mystique.
Yeah.
Then you've got Pyro and Avalanche and Mystique.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Dr. Adler story.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cable on top of all that.
Yeah.
Then you've got the whole Rogue story, which is pretty much most of the episode.
Yeah.
And then you've got the X-Men building the mansion. Like, there's so many different things in this one. It's jam-packed.
Well, this one went by pretty fast as we were watching it, I thought, but it didn't seem unfocused, if that makes sense. Because, now that you mention it, all those storylines intertwining and the relationship between the characters, you think it would sort of interfere with the overall structure of the thing. But I thought we spent enough time with Rogue, enough time with Cable, enough time with Moira and Charles, and it didn't feel crowded. So I think it was structured very well, and everyone's time was spent to the optimized sort of length there. So overall, I think it was very well balanced.
Yeah, the only one that didn't make an appearance was Beast.
Well, we don't need to see him in prison. He wasn't going to add anything, but he would have had something interesting to say about the cure. Maybe some philosopher quote or something.
I also wrote that Mystique is actually useful in this, unlike in the movies where they just put Jennifer Lawrence in all the freaking time.
Oh, well, I don't count. Well, the new X-Men movies is the Jennifer Lawrence show. I mean, when she started out, she was relatively unknown. So she get in the Mystique costume and do your thing.
That's right.
As she got more and more famous, you can say, I don't want to be in the Mystique makeup anymore. It takes 6 hours, and they got to appeal to her. So that's why she's looking like Jennifer. Get rid of the character. I don't want to see her anymore. But, I think even the way they used Mystique in the original trilogy was much, much better. She didn't get to say much, but she was more this sort of sleek, shape-shifting assassin. And in the episode, in the TV show, she gets to use her powers as sort of a shape-shifting manipulator, rather than the assassin that can do all the kicks and moves or whatever. But I reckon they used Mystique very well in the first trilogy movies and the animated series, as opposed to Jennifer Lawrence being Jennifer Lawrence.
So, what was your favourite part?
My favourite part was probably, I'll lock it in as the, it won't be my favourite quote. It could be I think generally the favourite quote and favourite part sort of tie together because those moments are really cool. I like when, I think my favourite part and favourite quote is when Cyclops and Jean hop off the jet, drop the weapon. Cable goes, no, and just shoots back at him because it goes against what you think would happen. There'd be maybe a negotiation going on, or he actually drops it or just shoots back. But his response is just so genuine and so what anyone would with a gun and confidence would do. Just say it straight up, say, no. And just shoots back at him. So I think that's my favourite part, my favourite quote. How about you?
My favourite part has to be the plasma grenade when he spits the pin at Adler. That's awesome.
Such a great character moment.
And my favourite quote has to be, "Don't call me darling."
I swear there's some movies where they say, "Don't call me insert name."
Yeah,
here.
there is.
I mean, you think of the airplane ones, and "Don't call me Shirley." But I'm sure there's other ones where he says, "And don't call me whatever." But I'll rack my brains and think of some movies later on because I can't think of any at the moment. I'll put a supercut if I can think of it. I know. In the Batman cartoons, Joker, Harley's always calling Joker Puddin', and he goes, "Don't call me Puddin'." Okay, Brooksy, what would you rate this episode? 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, and 7 being not allowed.
I haven't gone with 7 this time. I've given this one a 6.
See, that's I've given. No, actually, I'll call this one. It's pretty. Actually, I'll call it a 6 as well. Maybe a 6.5 because there's a lot of good cable stuff in this.
Yeah.
But then that just makes you think. Just make it a straight up make it a straight up cable episode or lean more into the rogue story because like our favourite bits and favourite quotes were cable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a cable story to me. It felt like it was supposed to be a rogue story and she wasn't really, I don't know, heavily featured in this one as much as she probably needed to be. So whenever your favourite part about the episode is related to a character that's not the lead, I think maybe that could be a suffering of the episode. So, yeah, 6.5 for me, just because the cable quotes are on point and the cable moments are badass. Okay, it's time for tally time, and we have 1 Wolverine claw draw in this one.
That's
Brooks?
all we got. Yep, the 1 claw draw brings us up to 33.
33 all up. Is this a episode low that features claw draws? Is 1 the lowest?
Yeah, there's a couple of episodes only got the 1.
They've only got the 1? Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't found one that's got 0 yet.
Really?
No.
Oh, that's right. Well. Still waiting on that episode. That'll be, the sirens will be going off.
So, yeah, no beasts and no beast quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And I still got the 3 bubs, and we've added our 1 gene faint.
Yep, that's right.
And also all the sound effects.
Ah, yes.
So, yeah, we've got Pyro's flamethrower.
It is a grenade launcher and the Han Solo blaster.
Yep.
And
Was there another one?
Don't think there was anything else in this episode. Otherwise, it's something we would have heard before. But those are the 2 new ones that stood out to me. So stolen sound effects, we've got 2 in this episode. Borrowed sound effects, we've got 2 in this episode. Stolen seems a bit too harsh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it from us here at Generation X-Men. Rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and Podbean. You can also find us on Podcast Addicts and Pocket Casters. With iTunes, what I would like everyone to do who are listening through iTunes is just to either write a quick review. It'll only take 5 or 6 minutes, seconds, whatever. Just keep it quick, but give us one of those star ratings. Because we've only got 1 rating at the moment, we don't sort of pop up when you search for X-Men in general. So if we could just get a bit more ratings, we can get an overall rating, because I'd like to see that appear on our page. It's like the one thing that's not in iTunes. It's got our description, got our pictures, but we haven't got like an overall rating. So if you want to give us a 1-star to a 5-star, be sure to do that, because I'd just love to have a rating on there just to let people know what we're about and the quality that Generation X-Men is bringing to iTunes. So it's the only way to get more eyes on to see if we're rated very well. Don't forget to like and share our page on Facebook at Generation X-Men. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Gen X-Men Pod, for some behind-the-scenes photos and videos. Or you can contact us via Facebook IM or by email, generationxmenpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, Brooksy, so what's up for us next week?
So next week we've got Season 1, Episode 10, Come the Apocalypse.
Come the Apocalypse, which I would think this is the bigger reveal of Apocalypse. This is the tease.
Yeah.
The Cure is just the tease episode for the Apocalypse, but Come the Apocalypse, you're definitely going to see some serious Apocalypse action, some serious monologues. All Apocalypse. It gets big and everything.
That's it. I bet he does. I bet he does.
I'm looking forward to that one, because we got Apocalypse and the action figures there, and he's even striking the pose where he's big, mean, and menacing.
And he's big and everything.
Well, that's a little in-joke between us, because when we saw the trailer to X-Men Apocalypse, we're worried that they weren't going to deliver on his powers or whatever. But when the first couple of trailers come out, Brooksy got real hype. He goes, gets big and everything. And that cracked me up. And that's whatever I think of X-Men and Apocalypse now. That's the line that pops into my head first. He gets big and everything. All right, that's it from us here, Generation X-Men. Hope you had as much fun listening as we have had talking. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for your time and know that we love you. Next week, we got the episode as aforementioned with Breakdown, Tally Time and Claw Draw. Like the Terminator, we'll be back and look forward to your company then. Thanks for hosting, Brooksy.
No worries. Take it easy, Bender.
Bye-bye.
See you, mate.
Don't call me darling.
Don't call me Junior.
And don't call me Puddin'.